Hey guys, anyone who's joining, I just decided to randomly pop onto a live ahead of going into this crazy week. Gonna be a crazy week for me at least. But yeah, just wanted to see if you guys are prepping for the week. If you have any kind of product, UX design kind of questions, thoughts, concerns, anything you guys want to talk about. I just got a really sweet message from one of you guys, and I'm going to respond to it after this call. It's about expectations, especially as you're going through a learning course or degree or something like that. So I'm really looking forward to responding to that because it sounds like that person is getting some bad advice about lowering expectations, especially when you're in school, or lowering your confidence. Oh my gosh. If you guys have ever had any sort of advice like that, please let me know because wow. The weirdest thing I've ever heard, maybe. But yeah, very curious what you guys are up to. Be curious if you guys are product and UX designers as well. I was just working on a presentation. I'm kicking it off with a video editor. Tomorrow, I'm creating a storyboard, a product storyboard that kind of highlights the future experience, like the 3 to 5 year future experience, which is a culmination of a bunch of different designers' work, but I'm the lead on that who pulls it all together and makes it one kind of cohesive narrative, also withholds the threshold for quality of that kind of project. So, yeah, I was just working on that, literally going through the customer kind of journey and script for it. I also do the voiceover. I got trapped into doing that somehow. Funny story. Yeah, it is so cool and challenging, especially when you consider the work cuts across, oh, I don't know, 30, 40 different departments and hundreds of teams. But it is very challenging, especially like finding a way to write a good story. Actually, really funny note on this. The first round that we did this, we hired a voice actor to do the voiceover of a video like this, right? Because it requires a voiceover as you're showing the different UI pieces on the screen, right? And we got it back. We got the recording back. And I wrote the script, right? I was like, because I designed at the time, I designed most of it, but now it's like we've transitioned to go a little bit more bottoms up for curating the stuff that's out there. But we got this voice recording back, and it sounded like a very slow Siri or a slow, like Alexa voice. It was a real person. We hired a real person through an agency and everything. But it was so robotic and stunted. And maybe they did outsource it to AI, but this was in 2022. It was not as good as as it is today. So I was like, I'm not putting this over my video game. I'm not doing it. I was like, I think I can do better. That's my whole life. That's my whole life being like, ooh, I don't like the quality of this. Let me give it a try. Anyway, so now I'm the voice. That's my nickname. Aside from doing actual design and strategy stuff, I am the voice actor of the strategic videos that go to like our leadership team. You said, which app do you create the storyboard? Figma. Just straight up Figma. Just use like a 9:16 frame, just as you would for kind of any presentation, because that's the aspect ratio of the videos that we play. And yeah, I just storyboard it out, work back and forth with the animator slash illustrator. But yeah, there is no better tool. Sometimes like maybe because I'm not. I really wish I was, but I'm not an illustrator. But if I have this idea in my head, like I'll maybe sketch it on my iPad or something, and then, but again, everything lives in Figma. And essentially the setup is that 9:16, and then I have the script top left, and then I have my animation video notes on the far right. And honestly, that format has worked extremely well. And I can confidently say that because it's now been used by dozens and dozens of other designers following the same format and making their own kind of vision videos and stuff like that. So yeah, just Figma. Nothing fancy. You did use Storyboarder app, which is pretty interesting. Is that like an iPad app? No, I'm gonna look it up now. Story. Yep. Level up your storyboards. Give me some images. Oh wow. Oh, this is legit. Oh, are you an actual artist? Can you sketch? Because I cannot. Do you use a Wacom tablet to draw the storyboard on Figma? No, just my iPad. I use, oh my gosh, what is it called? The app. Procreate. I just use Procreate. Yeah. But this storyboarder one kind of looks, it just looks advanced. It looks more advanced than I would be sketching. Because so if we were doing like custom, let's say like custom B-roll or custom actual like recording live videos and stuff like that, then this would be way better suited for that. I agree, but we're not that sophisticated. We use stock footage from like Pexels, or Envato has a good library of stock footage, and then we just find within that what suits what we want to tell in the story. But we also have a lot of internal stock footage and things to use as well. But if we are actually like recording a proper video, then yeah, this tool seems super cool. Okay, we have a portfolio question. Let's talk about it. How can I make my portfolio case study stand out? Very generic question. How can you make your portfolio case studies stand out? And I have some best practices that if you do them, then you will be better off than so many other designers. But I don't know what level you are. I don't know these kind of things. But some of the things that you can really do to kind of set yourself apart. I feel like I've made quite a few videos on this, but one, make a very impactful title. So make sure all of your case studies are not titled by Spotify redesign or redesign of an app or something like super that tells me nothing. Like include the goal or impact that you had with that particular project in the title. That is a way to stand out. For some reason, still not the majority of the way that people do them, but it is vastly appreciated by all hiring managers, including myself. So one of them. Using very high fidelity mockup. So even in situ mockups are really good. So once you have your final designs, having that first impression be just very high fidelity, very nicely done, very intentional is always good. And then getting into the story of the impact, what your particular role was, is super important. But lean very heavily into the impact or the intended impact of why you're even doing that project in the first place. And that will probably set you apart and help you stand out from most candidates who are not doing that. So yeah, hopefully that helps. But to answer a very kind of broad and open question, it's a little bit tricky to do. How essential do you see learning animation skills in a design career? Not essential at all. I have been doing this for going on 13 years or something. And I think I've learned to micro animate within the last couple of months. And that was only because I had to do or wanted to, not even had to, wanted to do I wanted to have some animations in my presentation that I was doing. And let me tell you, they are so simple, but it is not essential at all. Can it help you? If you like have that little sprinkle, like that little nice sauce on your resume? Yeah, because you're a little bit of a double package. You just be very careful if somebody hires you to do animation as on top of your design job. Pay me, please. Yeah, thank you. Make sure that the compensation is done correctly. But it can help you set you apart, obviously. And then of course, if you do animation, you can have it in your case studies, you can have it in your portfolio. But it is absolutely, cannot emphasize this enough, not essential. There might be some jobs out there that do mixed roles, and it's an absolute requirement, but you will not see that as like a standard kind of role by any means. Yeah. Sorry, looking at questions. Sorry. Can you please recommend tools for the mockup? The mockup of designs? What? Mockup of what? Oh, okay. Oh, duh. I said the thing, didn't I? I said mockup 2 seconds ago. What are some good mockup tools? If any of you have good mockup tools, let me look. I feel like I have some saved. So let me see here. What's that one? Pretty mockups. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay. Okay, ready? Oh, maybe I could type them. I don't know. Yeah, Figma does have some pretty good plugins for sure. Check that out. That's a good one. The ones that I have saved, I have mockrocket.io, which is like it's a movement kind of 3D mockup tool. And then what else do I have? I have. Ooh, this one I've used actually quite a bit. It's called Design Stripe. Super simple. I think it's even free. Yeah, designstripe.com is pretty good. What else? What are some other ones? I didn't really like that one. Some of these are paid, and I don't even want to recommend them to you. I guess if you want to do paid, that's totally on you. A huge library. I can just show you guys this one, but it's paid, and I haven't used it. I'm not necessarily mega recommending it, but they have a lot of mockups, and this is called Angle.ai, and then you can just give you an idea here of just the plethora of types of different devices. They have clay, they have real, they have glass, cards. Oh, neat, just flat UI screens. So yeah, if you really wanted to go all out, like if you need to do a portfolio overhaul, maybe this would be a good way to go. And they do have like sample ones you can use, but I think the package itself is, yeah, it's $80. Dealer's choice on that one. If I need to do a total overhaul, like I'd probably maybe think about investing into it. But there are other free ones. The free ones I just mentioned, the Design Stripe and Knock Rocket, I think both have at least some free options in there. So maybe check that out. Maybe I need to share those resources somewhere else as well. I don't know. But yeah, also Figma plugins. I think there's a lot of free Figma plugins or just Figma files. Check out the Figma like community as well. Lots of design mockups. I think I've gotten most of mine from like free community files, if I'm being perfectly honest. Okay. Oh, you're complimenting my hair. Thank you. I'm not gonna skip over that one. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Oh my God. Can we delete these people, please? I'm trying to talk about legitimate design stuff, guys. So can we not with all the stuff? That'd be great. Yeah. There's this other one. It's called Pretty something. Pretty Mockups. Niggling in the back of my mind. Why can't I think of it? Maybe because it's not free anymore. Maybe it used to be free, and then it's not anymore. Free pig. Yeah, you gotta be careful. A lot of these guys are like snake you into charging them. But yeah, don't do stuff too spacey either. Some of the mockups get really almost, I don't know, Mission Impossible. Or very much avoid mockups where it skews it to where it's almost like you're looking at it from like a 70-degree angle and you cannot see the UI. Oh my gosh, please avoid that altogether in your portfolio. It just, even if you have good design, even if it's nicely done, can't see it, can't tell. Maybe try to avoid that. I'm just looking at some kind of slide examples. The one that maybe tilts, sure. Again, skewing, just be very cautious. Maybe it'll make a cool first impression, but then just make sure you have a version where it's flat. But there's been so many times, especially one, I'm gonna flip it around. One like this, or there was another one up here like this. And it just, there's no way, even if it's a large size, like also keep in mind that maybe somebody's viewing this from only a 13-inch laptop or an Air or something like that, maybe even on their tablet or phone. So yeah, you can really lose a lot of the integrity of your designs if you start to use this few mockups. So yeah. Yes, exactly. Why do you guys have to ruin everything? Yeah, I can't block something, people. Sorry, guys. I guess this is what you get on a Sunday. I usually do my lives on a Wednesday evening for me. I don't know where you guys are located. Maybe let me know. That'd be cool. Oh, you're saying what's LS graphics? Is that another one? Ooh, very nice. Okay, good recommendation. creepy gloves. The gloves are creepy. Getting a weird vibe with the motorcycle glove. Motorcycle serial killer? Okay, guys, let me know what you think. But sorry, that was just my first impression for these. Check out these mock-ups. They got some good ones, right? Just nice, just typical. But these glove ones, what? I don't know. They're giving me a weird vibe. These are cool. Again, this would like totally skew your graphic design here, right, though. We can just look at this all together. Ooh, these are cool. I have not seen mock-ups for these fold phones yet. That's super cool. Wow, great recommendation. Just the gloves really threw me off. Nice print mock-ups as well. Cool, wicked. I'm gonna save this one. Thanks for the recommendation. That was really good and creepy. All together, all around. It helps with interior design, like everything with each. Okay. Oh, what is the best way from your experience to hand off Figma screens to devs? I'm not going to be the best person to answer this anymore because I see the videos out there that other content creators are making around the new Figma handoff tools, and they look prima. They look absolutely prima. I'm a bit far removed from delivering design anymore, if I'm perfectly honest. I work with like strategy and senior stakeholders and stuff. So my days of delivering to devs has been some years now. Let's just say. But in theory, maybe not like the actual practicality of the tool and stuff. The best way that I ever found to deliver with devs is one, include them in the process. Straight up, make sure they're involved in your design process at some points. Because that helps you and them understand the rationale of like why those designs are that way in the first place. I actually started out as a developer, and the environment that made me want to stop developing was the fact that the designers would just ship them over the walls. Never saw them till the day that they were done. I wanted to die. So I made sure to never do that as a designer once I jumped the fence. So I then would include the devs in the process. And then I would just have reviews with them as well. So we'd take them through the design. We'd talk about what was possible, right? So what was possible with the technology and with the amount of time that we had, effort over impact, et cetera, et cetera. That was so much better than previous environments. And I got like buco good feedback about that, by the way. Just the devs were like, you're the first designer that was just like, we love working with you. I think I was one designer to 14 devs or something like that. It was like iOS and Android and web application, and it was all whatever, but so it was a lot. But and then just work with them very closely through the QA process of once they get to a certain point in development, doing that QA a bit together. If you're lucky, you'll have a very good dev who won't miss a lot. That is rare. That is rare, my friend. They usually miss a lot, and then you have to do a lot of screenshots and annotation. But in terms of handoff, yeah, I think like practicality wise, Figma has got it locked down. I know Zeppelin's had it for a really long time in terms of the annotations, the needing the hex codes for things, the spacing, all of that, like the technicality of the design. Seems like Figma's really got that on lock and in developing it further and further by the second. But yeah, in theory, those would be my advice. That point. So. Oh, this would be very useful for my case study. I'm working on an education tech plus AI web application. That sounds super cool. Yeah, awesome. That sounds like a really exciting project. So congrats on that. Wow, hello from Argentina. You are so far away from me right now. That is cool. Is it nice there? Oh, is it warm? It's so cold here. You're going to begin your studies in UX UI in 2 weeks. What would be your advice? Don't only do your education. That is the best advice I could ever give anybody who's just starting. So if you're doing studies, if you're doing like a university, doesn't matter if you're doing a boot camp, don't only do the university or the boot camp. Do more than that. Do either if you do little courses outside, but practice outside of school so much more and start looking for smaller jobs or where you can apprentice with other designers, get close with more senior designers and get exposed to more senior designers. All of that is going to help you exponentially. So when you do get to the point you finish your studies, you're ready to apply for jobs, you'll set yourself up so much better than just your classmates stuck with it. I say this from experience. I started working pre-internship about, I would say, 4 months into my bachelor's degree. I worked for a little startup and I was recommended by one of my classmates or whatever. And he couldn't do it at the time because he had a full-time job. And so I took it on and I literally worked my whole study, my whole degree for free, and then eventually not for free. But to my classmates who did not, they just locked in, did the study, just textbook, that's the route that they took. All of them struggled. All of them struggled to get jobs outside of school. Anybody who got experience while we were in school and started to do other things outside of just the education, madly successful. Anyone who didn't, actually, most of them have transitioned careers by now. Maybe that was a sign. Maybe they just weren't passionate about it enough to do that. But yeah, just don't stick just to the education. Sorry, that would hit a memory for me. Okay. Sorry, I'm just reading questions. I also think, oh, what are we talking about here, Joseph? I can't scroll up. Sorry, let me scroll on here. Okay, sorry, I'm struggling to follow the thread. Oh, what is the best way? Okay, sorry. Okay, Joseph, you asked the question about the devs. You're not getting. What do you mean you're not getting lucky lately with developers? Oh, with good developers. Oof. It is I've been doing this a long time. It is so rare to find a dev that have attention to detail and that you don't have to spend your life like annotating their prod environment and being like, okay, we need to make some changes. And then it's just like a list of like 30 things that need to change. When realistically, you could just can we do a little Where's Waldo here? I've literally reached my end at some point with some developers where I'm just like, hey, there's too much wrong within this. Can you come back to me within a few days after you've adjusted some of this? Not even giving them like specific things that need to change. I'm just like, there's so much here. It would take me more time to sit here and annotate all of this to you than if you were to just try a little harder. No joke. I literally sent this back I've done it. I've sent it back and said, this is not quite up to par, ready for QA just yet. That's rush out there. It can't be. But if you set an expectation to, they won't come to you with half-baked shit either. Pick your battle. Oh, you're thinking about building a dedicated design system. That will only work, I think, maybe, in my opinion, if you build it side by side with them. If as you build the design component, they build the actual components in prod that they can just reuse or edit off of, unless you have development experience and that's what you're planning to do. But I guarantee, unless you establish a way of working that they can copy and paste those code snippets or have the library on their side as well, you'll just be wasting your time. It's probably great for you. You should have a design system, but I don't know that will help the development issue. If I'm being perfectly honest, I've been there. Develop a design system, mostly for my own efficiencies, but you could just say, oh, this is just an iteration of this component or whatever. And then I don't know, they rebuild it for whatever reason, because that way of working isn't established and it's not great. So if you can like partner up with them and do that though, mad skills, great portfolio piece as well. Just saying. Do you have some tips for keeping the UI consistent across multiple types of interfaces? Are we talking about platforms? Are we talking web to iOS to Android? Is that what we're talking about when we say interfaces? What Joseph was saying, you need a design system. I've done this over and over again now, but you start, and again, I'm going off of assuming I know what your question is. But you build a design system agnostic to any platform other than desktop. You can pretty much do all mobile, but like a mobile first approach. And then you get all those standards across the board locked in. And then all you really need to do is adapt to the native OS kind of familiarities. And even now, I feel like the lines are blurring more and more by the day. And you can just, yeah, like for example, Apple's got the chevron back arrow, where Android's got the a little bit more of an arrow. You can just make all of those changes. And actually, if you build your design system smart enough, you can literally just set a variable for it and it swaps from iOS to Android. But the vast majority, 90% of the design is just completely agnostic to that. You do have to account for a little bit of different OS patterns, like the native back buttons and stuff like that. But again, they're merging together to be more and more the same, depending how far you're going back in platform. But a mobile first approach, agnostic approach, and then you move up from there with responsive web. And then all you really have to worry about is then browsers on for desktop versions and stuff like that. Okay. Hey, Ukraine. Great. I don't know what is better, logistics or IT, front or back end. In terms of better for what? Better for UX? Better. I don't understand your question. Sorry. I don't know what better for. What's your favorite portfolio builder free? Free portfolio builder. I'm going to say it again. Figma. I use Figma for everything because you can make a prototype. You can make a free prototype, then you can link to that from your resume and applications and stuff. I think that's a good way if you want to get a little bit fancier. Free. I think there's some, man, if you guys have recommendations for this, all I can think about is paid ones right now. Behance. I would choose Figma over Behance, though, to be honest with you. Like, because it's just a picture. At least in Figma, you can make like an interactive prototype. You can include GIFs and other animations and stuff like that. I know a lot of people use Notion, but unless you're like junior, don't do that. It's okay if you're just starting out, but like even once you get to like your first interview, or sorry, your first like internship, you'd want to do something a little bit more refined than a Notion template, just because it's so utilitarian and not systematic. I've seen some good portfolio templates out there, but I'd jump out of that as quickly as I could. And Notion is so a game changer. I love Notion. It doesn't really allow you to make a great first impression as a designer. But not free, but I've used Spotify for ages and ages. I'm now on Webflow because it's the no code design tool, but that's just more advanced. Let me check. I'm going to go to Notion right now because that's where my learning guide is. And I feel like I've listed some portfolio things in there. Watch, it's going to be Behance. Yeah, I say Figma, Behance, Notion, and then Squarespace and Webflow are the more paid versions. Yeah, there's just those, like whether I agree or not, there's just this expectation that once you're a bit more established as a designer, like your branding, your kind of external facing presence needs to be a bit more intentional and refined, which Notion is an okay starting step for. Behance is an okay starting step for, but then you need to get more fancy with it with a Figma or a Squarespace or actual like website with a domain name and stuff. Framer, I haven't used Framer myself. I did use it for some projects back in the day, but it was more like code heavy. I sat with developers to use it. I haven't actually used their no code tool, but I've heard some great things. So I definitely add it to your list and to things to check out for sure. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, just checking questions. Okay. Would transitioning from UI development to product design is a good move given the market? UI development to product design. Development is almost always more in demand. But that being said, I know that a lot of developers were like laid off as well, like not equal, like there's en masse, there's just more developers per capita than designers usually, because there's more developers needed per designer in a company as well. I think having development skills is extremely valuable. I don't know. I don't know which one is better or worse in the market right now, to tell you the truth. I would pursue whichever one actually makes you happier, because they're both extremely valuable skills. I would say development is a little bit more in my whole time of being in this industry. There's always been a bit more of a demand for development jobs than there has been for design jobs. It comes and goes. So it's a little bit of a safer bet. But I think at the end of the day, you just got to go with what actually makes you happy. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out. Let's say you hate development right now. You're going to burn yourself out eventually. And then who cares what the market? Not the best, most practical advice, but it's kind of the reality of it. What is your opinion of the future of UX in the coming years in terms of evolution? I'm going to take a drink before I answer that question. I actually just did a interview for this newsletter that should be coming out soon that answers this question. My thoughts are on where UX is headed. With all this AI stuff, I'm not actually worried about it taking our jobs, which every time I hear that, I can't get the South Park episode out of my head. I just hear it in my head every time, if you guys know. But so taking our job, I'm not worried about that. However, I do think the role will change. I do think we're going to see less UI specific skills needed because there's going to be so much building upon these design systems already huge for companies as is. And then you add AI into that when it can code for you and modify, update, and do whatever with design systems. The actual building of these systems and stuff like that, there's just not going to need to be as much pixel pushing by designers, if that makes sense. Not as much granular, like micro optimization work needed because AI will be able to do that. Like the menial tedium stuff that some designers do today won't need to happen. Now, that being said, I think then the workflow is going to change. So you can work hand in hand with AI tools to build out workflows, customer journeys, maybe even do some synthetic user testing, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's going to change the toolkit that designers will be and need to be using. Also, AI is going to change the way that we can design our products, right? As designers, we're opened up to a huge change in flexibility and modularity for how we can personalize and contextualize an experience for almost every single individual user. We had that with a little bit with ML, machine learning, but nowhere, not even close to what it's going to be able to be capable of. I'm actually leading a project right now where we're considering what that future actually looks like. But you will almost be in this space. Like Instagram does really good about customizing the ads that it gives you because it can stalk you on everywhere else on the internet. Think about that, but think about your interface changing. The emphasis on what you think is important, the machine knows that. But you, as the designer, now need to take that into account for the different segment groups that you have, the different users. So if this user is a big image user, the other one's a big video user, this one's a big reader, your design is not going to just be a static one and done, one size fits all. Like you're going to need to consider a lot more modularity when you come to your solutions and stuff. So that's actually the part that I'm super excited about because it seems so challenging to figure out how to design for that. But yeah, I think UI specific roles and stuff like that, I think that's going to go to the wayside a bit more. We'll just see very few with that. With any kind of big trend and stuff like this changing, there's going to be big companies that are like on the cutting edge, but then there's just going to be a spectrum of companies that like don't do it at all, don't need to do it, don't want to do it, then just don't. And so there'll still be the static kind of element to some of the design space in general. If you look at the way that government designers that work like in government systems have to design, it's like they're in the 90s. And so there's always going to be that type of setup, no matter how advanced technology gets, right? And then I think you'll just see a lot more skills required for strategic business influence from designers. Like, how do you translate what the business actually wants to be doing into what you can bring forward in a design solution or initiative? And then a little bit more kind of research, as well as maybe a little bit of a mix of the, I even think, actually, no, I take that back. Even more the development side, as we think about how AI can actually code some of the components and things, we might see that change. But it's not going to be day and night. It's not just going to wake up tomorrow and it's all going to be here. It's going to be a very slow, potentially painful process. And it's going to be different for every one of us, depending on like the work environment that we're included in, whether they need to be on the edge because they have shareholders that are watching, or If you're in kind of some mid-level bank company, that's no, thank you, whatever. Anyways, that was a long answer. Oh my God, I'm just saying, girl, you got laid off on Thursday. You have both design and dev background, but development seems so unstable. Really? Probably because there's so many developers. Sorry, I'm just scrolling up. Can I even, should, Shadera? Oh, maybe I'm saying that. And right, probably not. I'm so sorry to hear that. Thursday? Oh, brutal. How you doing? How you holding up? Oh, I did say it right. Nice, Shadera. Cool. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That sucks. So what was you have both design and dev, but what was your role? Curious. I'm seeing some real technical questions come through. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the person for it. But I'll read them, but I'll just tell you right now. What am I seeing? Python, I'm seeing SAS. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to know. Yeah, okay, great. You're making content about it. You are a UI developer. Okay. Yeah. Damn. That's rough. Was it just yourself or was there like a percentage layoff, like a group layoff? Also, you don't have to answer if you're not comfortable. That's cool too. But I'm just curious. I did see a couple videos today. I was scrolling through TikTok of like people getting laid off still. I'm just like, why? How is it still trickling? How is it still happening? I fully believe it's still off the back of the wave of the pandemic where everybody hired way too many people. And then they didn't know how to compensate for it. Okay, sorry. I'll wait for the answer for those and look at the next question. Okay. Any advice how to get real world experience? I'm not sure if you answered this already. Sorry. No problem. Simone. So, real world experience. Yes. The best advice I can give you is now in the world of the internet being so accessible, I highly recommend checking out places like Upwork or akin websites to that, where you can just sign up as a freelancer and put your services out there for cheap, easy. It's just a way to really dabble your toes in the water. But the way that I did it, which I still stand by, even as an introvert person who loved this, I just can't, I was still, it's just like so valuable. Try to get freelance work via just like brick and mortar companies. So your local sandwich shop, your local bakery, your local volunteer shop or volunteer shelter, animal shelter, do something a little bit more locally. And the way that I've done this in the past, I would just be like, hey, I see your website is trying to do this. I'm a local web designer. I think by making X, Y, and Z, you could massively improve your whatever you can tell they're trying to achieve, your contact rate, your, I don't know, click through, your selling of your books, whatever they're doing. I also like that experience rather than having a no face like somebody online. And also, I find it quite fulfilling if you can help like an animal shelter or some community center, something like that. That is such a great way to get real world experience. And if you're super fresh, if you're like super green, be cheap. You're not going to be good. Sorry. Not. No one is when they start out. So be either free or very cheap. And that experience is going to be super, super valuable to you. And then you can just eventually you get a little bit more confident. You get a little bit more confident with client relations. And then when you go to either an agency or kind of a company of any sort, then you already have this experience. I get this like sense that out there, a bunch of designers are just going like straight to corporate, straight to company. And I get that like a little bit because of the security maybe, but like for what? Like, why would that company hire you if you don't have any experience? It's just, yeah, it wasn't the way that it was 12 years ago when I was starting out, nor is it the way that, yeah, I've ever seen it been. And like, you'll set yourself so far apart than somebody who doesn't have any experience. But yeah, freelancing, local really is the way to go. If you're not super comfortable with that, then, yeah, try sites like Upwork or I think Envato Studios used to be one, but I don't think that's around anymore. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Whole industry at risk of AI experience on all sectors. I don't agree. I don't think the whole industry is at risk. I think aspects of jobs are at risk. Yes, absolutely. Every aspect of probably every single job. Totally. Analysts, people who do data, number crunching, stuff like that. Yeah. Financier. Yep. Because computer, like, you're going to be able to just ask, be like, hey, what's all of this summarized into 500 documents? But sorry, I don't like tedium. So anything that can take tedium out of my life, vote. I will pivot. I will change. I got into this industry and into tech knowing very much that my job would be ever changing. And that's just the way it be. If you're not ready for that, then okay. Hey, Simone. Yeah, you've done a few design challenges, but I'll definitely consider places like Upwork. Be careful about those design challenges. I just did a video on this. I think it was literally my last posted one. Just be careful about which prompts and which prompt generators you're using. That's all I have to say. There are bad ones and there are good ones. So I hope you've used the good ones. Anyways, and we're scrolling back up. Nowadays, it's impossible to land a job in the UX field. What is your opinion about this? Yeah, it's tough out there. Straight up. No question. We've been, like, in my company, massive company, has been through a hiring freeze for a little while now. Lots of reorg things happening. I've heard other companies are doing the same thing. Bigger companies are still trickling their layoffs as well. So yeah, no question about that. But I feel like, so yeah, I'm not challenging that by any means, but I feel like the focus is a little bit too narrow. There is always somebody who needs a website. Me. Always somebody who wants to design an app. And I think not tapping into the freelance sector as much as people concentrate on the corporate sector, and that corporate is like mid to larger level companies, is a mistake because you can make good money freelancing. It entails a lot more work, like with client relations, paperwork, blah, 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 all this stuff. But if you're only looking at companies, you're only betting on and putting all your eggs in the corporate basket, I just think that's a mistake, especially for the way the industry is right now. You're also not really helping yourself by not getting some experience, or at least fresh experience, to show companies as well. Now, I'm not saying that's like a guarantee you go do a bit of freelance and then you just get a job immediately. You still have to be good. But still, yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. It just seems like there's such an orientation towards companies are like the only way to go. And I think people are like, or there's maybe not as much information out there about how to go about freelancing or getting freelancing projects and stuff like that. But I did that for quite some time. I hated doing taxes at the end of the year. I really need to hire somebody. I couldn't afford anybody at the time, or didn't. I was too young. But anyways, that's my thoughts on it. When it comes to SaaS projects, like a dashboard related, what type of timeline do you give a client? Dude, I would have to sit here and ask you like 500 questions to be able to answer that one question. There's no way. There's no way for me to answer that. What is the complexity? What scale of project is it? What's the kind of sitemap look like? What's the user base? The devs. What is it? Bro. Dashboard, like, bar none, if you are doing a dashboard, straight up more complicated than just doing a landing page. I'll give you that. But also, the timeline depends on how good you are. If you're as good as I am, then you can probably crank it out in 3 weeks. But I would charge a premium for that, right? If you're not that good, then you would probably tell them it can be done in a month, but you wouldn't charge as much potentially. So, yeah, I can't answer that question. There's too many holes in that question. Can you sell your project in Figma? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Sorry. I'm not. Hang on, I'm seeing something on a farmer's market. Hang on. Whoa. Okay. Wow. Okay. What do you think about using AI in Fortran instead of Python? Not the person. I'm not a person to answer anything about Python. I used Python for the shortest amount of time I possibly could, and I hated it. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I just can't do the technical question. Fortune 500 company. Yeah, great team, synergy, Toronto, Tadera. I'm just sorry. Enough budget. What? Sorry, I'm reading out loud. Chidera, I'm sorry, I'm just reading your comments. Wow, so you helped them secure like a lot of clients, a lot of money worth clients. Oh, that's rough. Oh, you got 3 leads today. You're literally pitching at a farmer's market. Props. Mad props to you. That is so cool. Okay, but you're also a testament to that kind of working, like kind of the brick and mortar type going out there and freelancing. Oh, as a part of my answer to the layoff question. Oh, okay, yeah. Nice. You got 3 leads today, Joe. Damn, that's so impressive. Really got right back on the horse. Like mega props for that. So it sounds like your previous company was just shitty. That's what I'm gathering from these character limited comments. Man, okay. Yeah, sometimes that turns into a job op. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly what you're talking about, but if you're talking about freelance, sometimes people want to keep you on as retainer, right? You do a project or redesign or something for them, and they're like, hey, we want to do maintenance or something, or just on a regular basis. And then you have consistent income coming in. Super good. So, yeah, cool. Nice. I wish you the best of luck, Chidera, because there's definitely opportunity out there for sure. And it looks like you are already jumping on it. Congrats. Somebody asked me if I'm American. Yes, I am. Can you tell in my accent? My accent? I live in the Netherlands though, so it's very late here. Very cool. Okay. I think I tackled all the questions, which is super cool. Yeah, because I just wanted to randomly jump on here and see how everybody's doing. I saw a couple layoffs, people getting laid off TikToks today, and then I also got a really nice message for somebody who was getting discouraged about what their kind of teacher was saying in their class about lowering their standards or expectations of what they can do and stuff. And I was just like, how's everybody doing out there? It's been great. Thank you guys for joining. I think I'm going to sign off now because I can feel my throat hurting. But yeah, thanks for the chat. I really liked it. Really like to get to know all your circumstances and stuff. And honestly, best of luck to you guys who are looking for a job out there. Most luck to you. Okay. See you guys. Bye.